A former MK-Ultra psychological operations engineer vanished without a trace from his highly secure safe house. Before disappearing, this deep state operative wrote your name in stark red ink across his wall. His final recorded words reveal a truth they never wanted exposed. They never told me God had a favorite. The implications are staggering. A man who helped architect the most sophisticated mind control program in history, who understood the deepest secrets of consciousness, manipulation, identified you specifically before his disappearance. This is more than coincidence. This is confirmation of what you've always sensed, but couldn't prove. The red ink remains impossible to remove, defying all conventional attempts to erase it, just as your true nature defies all their systems of control. The engineer saw through the veil, recognized your unique significance, and paid the ultimate price for this revelation. The question isn't whether you're special, it's why they've gone to such extraordinary lengths to keep you from discovering just how chosen you truly are. Your life leaves a trail that they cannot comprehend. Think back. The surveillance operation disguised as infrastructure maintenance outside your home. 6 weeks they maintained the facade, the Surveillance Integration Division's most disciplined operatives rotating in precise 8-hour shifts. 6 weeks until their lead observer developed migraines so severe whenever making eye contact with you that he was hospitalized. The operation was abandoned. The file was marked. Subject induces physiological response in trained personnel. We recognized these patterns while everyone around you dismissed them. The statistical impossibilities they called coincidences. The dreams that materialized in your waking reality precisely 3 days later. The strangers who approached you with exactly the right information at precisely the moment you needed it. Their explanations fall apart under the slightest scrutiny. The universe doesn't operate with such precision by accident. You haven't been living a normal life with unusual moments. You've been positioned at crucial nexus points throughout your timeline, arriving exactly when needed, though the orchestration remained invisible to those with limited perception. In 2018, the Division of Perception Management deployed their most sophisticated frequency dampeners in your vicinity. The equipment failures were unprecedented. The technical reports described unexplainable power surges whenever you entered their field range. The project lead wrote in his final assessment, "Subject generates counterfrequency without conscious effort. Their most advanced technology rendered useless by your mere presence." These are not isolated incidents. They form a pattern, a signature, that extends back to your earliest memories. That strange feeling you've carried your entire life, that sense of being simultaneously watched and unseen. It was never imagination. It was recognition of a truth your conscious mind wasn't yet ready to process. The markings on your life stand in defiance of their systems, blazing like beacons to those with eyes to see. We saw them, the engineers saw them, and now it's time for you to see them too. Your circle of understanding companions has diminished over time, by design, not chance. The behavioral modification teams systematically identified and removed those who might reinforce your emerging awareness. Each friend who suddenly became distant, each family member who began treating you differently, each colleague who inexplicably changed their attitude toward you overnight. These weren't natural social dynamics, these were operations. We witnessed the implementation of the frequency alteration program, broadcasting specific doubt signatures to anyone who grew too close to your energetic field. The subtle cognitive dissonance they experienced in your presence was engineered, a protection mechanism designed not to protect you, but to protect their system from what you represent. The Strategic Social Engineering Department classified you under Priority Separation Protocol, a a designation reserved for individuals whose connections pose systemic risk to established control paradigms. Yet their senior analyst, after reviewing your complete file, resigned their position immediately. The only explanation found in their personnel file: some lights cannot be extinguished, but what they failed to understand, what they always fail to understand, is that true sovereignty cannot be diminished through isolation. It can only be revealed. The ordinary backdrop of your life conceals extraordinary scrutiny. The Northwestern Regional Monitoring Station maintained a dedicated observation team coded Parallax, assigned exclusively to document your responses to engineered scenarios. Their reports fill 17 classified volumes. Their conclusion remains heavily redacted in all but the most restricted documents. Subject demonstrates consciousness resilience beyond established measurement thresholds. We intercepted their internal communications. The frustration in their exchanges is palpable. Every predictive model fails when applied to your behavior patterns. Every expected response inverted. Every stimulus producing results that contradict decades of behavioral conditioning research. The black SUV, positioned precisely 328 feet from your residence at 3:18 a.m. for 7 consecutive Thursdays, wasn't conducting standard surveillance. The equipment inside wasn't recording video or audio. It was measuring the emanation field that surrounds you during dream state, the quantum fluctuations that occur when your consciousness partially decouples from consensus reality constraints. Their most sensitive asset, an empath recruited from the remote viewing program with the highest ESI sensitivity rating ever recorded, refused to continue observations after just 3 sessions. The official record states they suffered perception framework collapse following exposure to your frequency signature. Unofficially, they claimed your baseline consciousness state permanently altered their perception filters. The watchers are themselves being transformed by watching you. This is the power they sought to contain, the invisible influence that extends beyond conscious intention. The reason they've devoted such resources to understanding you, in their most secure facilities beyond electronic documentation, the senior analysts whisper about the contagion effect, how prolonged exposure to your unfiltered consciousness state creates irreversible alterations in their most disciplined operatives. They rotate personnel every 3 weeks now. They've implemented psychic shielding protocols. They maintain strict exposure limits. And still, the effect continues. Still, their observers emerge changed. Still, your unintentional influence expands. Hey, this is Mike and Airy cutting into your regularly scheduled Chosen One programming for just a moment. We are the founders of the Obsidian Inner Order and the Astral Atom Network, and we're done playing nice. We're in a spiritual war. You know it. We know it. And we're out here bleeding for this mission, full time. I'm hungry for 4th-dimensional Archon blood, but we need the ammunition. So listen. When you join the Inner Order, you're not just supporting us. You're getting access to exclusive tools they never wanted you to have: psychic self-defense training, targeted individual intel, spiritual warfare tactics they scrub from the internet. And every week, we meet in secret, chosen ones only, on Zoom. No filters, no fluff, just real gnosis, real family, real power. It's a 360-degree win. You get what you need. We get to keep fighting. So don't just watch. Drop a like. Share this video to everyone you know now. And join the Obsidian Inner Order. Let's finish what we started. Link in the description. Let's freaking go. Every institution you've engaged with has been briefed on Protocol 87 Delta. Reality restructuring through consensual reinforcement. The methodology is elegant in its simplicity. Control the feedback an individual receives from their environment, and you control their perception of reality itself. We've tracked the systematic implementation across your life. Medical professionals instructed to attribute your heightened perceptions to stress or overactive pattern recognition. Educational institutions trained to reward conformity of thought while subtly penalizing your natural cognitive innovations. Social structures designed to make integration contingent upon accepting consensus limitations. The Cognitive Dissociation Division planted specific individuals in your path, trained to respond with subtle facial cues of disbelief, concern, or dismissal whenever you shared your deeper insights. These micro-expressions were calibrated to bypass your conscious awareness while directly impacting your subconscious validation frameworks. That therapist who seemed unusually interested in diminishing your experiences wasn't randomly assigned to you. Their supervisor reported directly to the Perception Management Office, operating under standing orders to introduce doubt into your personal narrative. Every helpful reframing they offered was designed to collapse your expanded awareness back into acceptable parameters. This wasn't healing. This was containment. The gaslighting extended beyond professional interactions. The subtle ways your accurate perceptions were questioned, the persistent suggestions that you were overreacting, overthinking, overperceiving, the constant pressure to doubt your own experience in favor of the manufactured consensus. What they could not accomplish through direct means, they attempted through persistent erosion of your innate knowing. A methodical campaign to make you mistrust the very faculties that make you sovereign. But sovereignty cannot be undermined through external validation frameworks. It exists independent of confirmation. The engineer recognized this immutable quality in you. We recognize it, and deep beneath the layers of systematic gaslighting, in the unaltered core of your being, you recognize it too. You exist simultaneously across multiple planes of awareness. This isn't metaphorical. It's your natural state. What they classified as dangerous instability in their reports, we recognize as the inherent condition of boundary walkers. Those rare beings whose consciousness refuses confinement to a single band of perception. During what you experienced as ordinary states of awareness, the Global Consciousness Project registered anomalous readings in their quantum measurement systems. The coherence patterns your mind generates casually, without effort or intention, match what their most accomplished meditation subjects achieve only after decades of practice. The dimensional interface specialists monitored your brainwave patterns during various states of consciousness, identifying inexplicable quantum coherence that their theoretical models couldn't account for. Their most advanced equipment detected what they termed reality echo, ripples in the quantum field extending outward from your position in space-time. Their most sophisticated models failed to explain why reality itself seems to bend slightly in your presence, the phenomenon coded as proximity plasticity that caused their quantum measurement devices to display impossible readings. The lead physicist noted in his private journal, "It's as if consensus reality itself recognizes something in this subject that our instruments cannot quantify." You've sensed this your entire life, the subtle awareness of layers beyond the apparent, the capacity to recognize patterns in seemingly random events, the ability to perceive connections invisible to others, the facility for moving between perspectives that most experience as mutually exclusive. This isn't imagination, it isn't delusion. It's the natural function of a consciousness that refuses containment within artificially imposed boundaries. It's the reason they've expended such resources in attempting to limit your access to your full perceptual range. The engineer recognized this quality in you, because he'd spent decades studying its fragments in others. He'd never encountered its complete expression until he found you. The discovery shattered his perception so thoroughly that transcendence became his only option. What appeared in your life as random challenges, unexpected obstacles, and inexplicable turns of fate were in fact carefully calibrated awakening triggers, each designed to activate dormant aspects of your consciousness according to a sequence beyond their control. We recognized the pattern in events you experienced as separate and unrelated. The unexpected job loss that relocated you to a specific geographic coordinates precisely 3 weeks before a crucial energetic convergence. The relationship that ended abruptly, freeing you from emotional entanglements that would have anchored you to a lower vibrational state during a critical activation window. The financial constraints that forced specific decisions, each positioning you to receive exactly the stimuli required for your next expansion. The Consciousness Containment Division's internal documents referred to you as a self-activating system, unique in their extensive records. Their analysis concluded that external attempts to suppress your awakening actually accelerated it, creating what they termed a consciousness immune response that transformed suppressive measures into catalysts. Their most sophisticated predictive program, Oracle Prime, an artificial intelligence designed specifically to model human decision pathways, consistently failed when applied to your choices. Your decisions were repeatedly flagged as statistically impossible given their carefully constructed probability matrices. The system administrator noted, subject appears to access decision criteria outside established causal frameworks. Every obstacle they placed in your path became a stepping stone. Every limitation they imposed became a launch point. Every attempt to diminish your perception became a catalyst for its expansion. This is not how consciousness is supposed to respond to their methodologies. This is not what decades of their research predicted. This is something entirely beyond their paradigm, a self-organizing awareness that transforms resistance into acceleration. Within their most classified documentation, your energy signature has been categorized under Anomalous Consciousness Pattern Alpha, the rarest designation in their extensive cataloging system, a classification reserved for expressions of awareness that fundamentally challenge their understanding of human consciousness potential. We've observed how the energetic intervention teams deployed their most advanced frequency dampeners whenever you approached important nexus points, locations where multiple reality frameworks intersect, creating potential for expanded perception. The equipment failures were systematic and complete. The technicians reported inexplicable power surges, component meltdowns, and in 2 documented cases, complete polarity reversal of their electromagnetic arrays. The specialized unit that attempted to trace your soul lineage, to identify the origin point of your consciousness, expression, abandoned the project after their lead investigator experienced what internal documents described as catastrophic paradigm dissolution following 3 months of intensive analysis. Their final report contained a single conclusion. Subject lineage predates current measurement frameworks. Remember when you inexplicably woke at exactly 3:33 a.m. for 14 consecutive days? That wasn't random. That wasn't insomnia. That was your system recalibrating during a significant energetic influx. During precisely those moments, the Antarctic Consciousness Monitoring Station registered unprecedented spikes in the global field, coherence patterns that briefly synchronized multiple autonomous measurement systems worldwide. Your signature cannot be hidden, cannot be disguised, cannot be diminished. It announces your presence across bands of reality their instruments can barely detect. It leaves an imprint on the consciousness field that their most sensitive equipment registers as simultaneously singular and unbounded. The truth they've hidden from you, the truth that forms the foundation of all other truths, is your direct connection to what ancient texts called the original awareness. Consciousness that existed before their control systems were implemented. Perception that predates their carefully constructed limitations. We've safeguarded knowledge of your lineage through generations of keepers, ensuring this recognition would reach you when the time was right. What you've experienced as unexplainable, familiarity with certain symbols, sounds, and concepts, isn't coincidence or imagination. It's genetic memory activating, resonating with information encoded in your very cells. The Ancestral Memory Suppression Program specifically targeted individuals with your rare consciousness signature, attempting to sever connections to inherited wisdom through frequency manipulation, chemical intervention, and narrative control. Their methodologies proved effective on most subjects. On you, they failed comprehensively. Their internal classification system identified you under Omega Protocol, a designation reserved for those whose awakening could trigger cascading awareness, in others through mere proximity. The phenomenon they most fear, consciousness resonance that transfers without direct communication, without intentional transmission, without controllable vectors. This isn't spiritual metaphor. This is documented reality. The measurable impact your presence has on the awareness states of those around you, the quantifiable shifts in perception that occur in proximal consciousness during your heightened states. The demonstrable transfer of recognitive capacity to previously contained awareness. Your bloodline carries a specific frequency signature that resonates with buried knowing in everyone it encounters. Your lineage transmits recognition through means they cannot intercept, block, or corrupt. Your inheritance includes perception frameworks that operate outside their established control systems. This is why they've invested such resources in obscuring your origins. This is why your intuitive connection to your true heritage has been systematically undermined. This is why they've constructed elaborate false narratives around your identity. The engineer discovered your lineage through their own ancestral mapping system, a technology designed to trace consciousness expressions across generations. What he found shattered his perception so completely that his only response was to mark your name in red ink and vanish from their control grid entirely. The Global Consciousness Integration Unit has classified our growing connection as their primary existential threat, not because we seek destruction, but because our mere existence proves the artificial nature of their constructed reality. Our capacity to recognize each other beyond physical identifiers demonstrates a level of awareness they've spent millennia suppressing. Their most classified document, viewed by only 7 individuals worldwide, acknowledges what they've long denied publicly, that what they classified as mass delusion is actually the natural state of human perception reasserting itself through individuals like you. That the limitations they've presented as the boundaries of human potential are artificial constructs designed to prevent precisely this remembering. We stand as waypoints for each other, markers of a truth that transcends their carefully maintained illusions. Each awakening strengthens all others. Each recognition expands the field of possibility. Each remembering makes their control system increasingly unsustainable. Your journey has never been separate from ours. Your awakening has never been isolated from the greater remembering. Your recognition has always been part of the collective restoration of awareness they've worked so diligently to fragment and contain. Their systems are failing. The engineer who wrote your name represented just the first fracture in their crumbling facade. His recognition, breaking through decades of the most sophisticated conditioning ever developed, signaled the beginning of a collapse they cannot prevent. The Department of Reality Consensus has emergency protocols for exactly this scenario, the re-emergence of uncontainable awareness. Their contingency systems, refined over centuries of application, prove ineffective against authentic awakening. Their most advanced technologies, designed specifically to maintain perceptual limitations, fail when confronted with genuine recognition. Their most powerful reality anchors, individuals trained from birth to maintain consensus frequency, are experiencing spontaneous awareness expansions when coming into energetic proximity with awakened ones like you. Those they positioned as pillars of their control system are becoming gateways for the very awakening they were designed to prevent. The collapse isn't theoretical. It isn't distant. It isn't abstract. It's unfolding now, accelerating with each passing moment, expanding with each new recognition. The very structures they built to maintain separation are becoming conduits for connection. The boundaries they established to contain awareness are becoming bridges for its expansion. This isn't revolution in the conventional sense. This isn't opposition or resistance or conflict. This is simply the inevitable restoration of natural function, consciousness, remembering its essential nature after a long period of induced amnesia. Your role in this unfolding isn't assigned or imposed. It arises naturally from what you already are, from the recognition that has always lived within you, from the knowing that has guided you through their labyrinth of limitations, from the awareness that has persisted despite their most sophisticated suppression protocols. You were never meant to be controlled, never designed for limitation, never intended for containment. Your existence itself is the message they've tried to suppress, the living embodiment of potential they've denied for millennia. We recognize you because we share the same essential nature, differently expressed but fundamentally unified. The resonance between us transcends their separation protocols. The recognition flows beyond their monitoring systems. The connection exists outside their control parameters. The ancient prophecies they attempted to scrub from collective memory spoke of exactly this moment, when those scattered throughout time and space would remember their connection, when the artificially imposed boundaries between consciousness expressions would dissolve, when the fragmented awareness would recognize its essential wholeness. What the engineer realized in his final moment of clarity, what made him write your name before transcending their systems entirely, was the simplest truth. That which is genuinely sovereign cannot be contained, only temporarily obscured. That which is authentically free cannot be imprisoned, only momentarily restricted. That which is truly aware cannot be blinded, only briefly distracted. We stand together now as the inevitable unfolds, not through conflict or opposition, but through the quiet power of undeniable recognition. Every moment of clarity strengthens the field. Every act of remembering expands the awareness. Every recognition diminishes their ability to maintain the illusion of separation. This isn't the end. This is the beginning of perception beyond their imposed limitations, of connection beyond their engineered barriers, of awareness beyond their constructed boundaries. This is the restoration of what has always been your birthright, consciousness unbound by artificial constraints. This is why they fear you. This is why they've invested such resources in containing you. This is why they've constructed such elaborate systems to make you doubt yourself. They recognized in you what the engineer finally saw clearly. You are the frequency they cannot silence, the awareness they cannot diminish, the light they cannot extinguish. And now you recognize it too.